And not only is he arranging, but he rearranges my attitude.
Good evening. Good evening. Want to welcome you to By God's Grace Weekly Inspiration. I'm so delighted. I'm humbled that you're viewing this, whether it be now or whether it be later, viewing this video post. Thank you for taking time out already. This month has passed by so fast, and I tell you, I'm still excited and blessed to be able to share a word from the Lord to you. I am honored that God is using me as a vessel to be able to get a word to someone out there. And I know there's many who have live posts, real popular, extravagant, awesome preachers. I'm just a little boy from a little town called Woodhaven, better known as the backwoods. And I just want to be used by God, that I can change somebody's life. That's what it's all about. You know, it's not about me. It's not about anything that I've done, but it's all about what God wants and what God want to get done through me. So we want to finish up tonight. Moses. We've been dealing with this month encounters with God. And we know that we all have to have an encounter with God. Not just one, but many encounters with God in order to fulfill the purpose that He has set for us. I am so excited because God brought me all the way up here to Montana in order to have an encounter with me, or for me to have an encounter with Him, to be able to get the next instructions that I need in order to continue fulfilling my purpose in life. All right, let's look at let's look at Moses. We're going to finish it up. Chapter 3. We dealt with pretty much chapter 1, which was a pretty much introduction about the new king of Egypt, and caused, long story short, he was felt threatened by the Israelites because there were so many, and he put them under slavery. Then when that didn't work and they were still multiplying, then he had some midwives go and kill the male borns of the Hebrews. When that didn't work, so he just told them, y'all just throw those male babies in the river or in the sea. It is so ironic that the king was threatened by these Israelites. Then it goes to chapter 2, which we dealt with Moses, pretty much paraphrasing, because the king put the order out to kill the newborn males. A woman took a baby, hid him for 3 months. When it got a little too old, to where she couldn't hide him no longer, then she had a basket made, put him in a basket, and put him on the river to flow down the river. And his sister, standing a ways off, kept an eye on him. Then one day, the Pharaoh's daughter came out, her and her maidens, getting ready to take a bath, and she sees this basket, and the maiden brings the basket to her. When she opens it up, there's a baby in there crying. Now, she noticed that he was a Hebrew boy, but because of his cry, she had compassion, Then the sister come along and asked her if she wanted her to go find a Hebrew woman to be able to come back and nurse the baby, and the princess approved. And the sister went back and got the baby's mama, brought the baby mama back, and Pharaoh's daughter was going to pay her to nurse him. And she took him back, and the relationship between the mama and the baby was restored. When the baby got about 3 or 4 years old, she took him back to the Pharaoh's daughter, and that's when Moses got his identity. The Pharaoh's daughter named him Moses. Moses grew up between that 10th and 11th verse of that second chapter. It was about 40 years. Moses was well educated. He was trained. He had become a leader. He had won battles against some enemies for the Egyptians, which, and then it brought down to where it says in a verse that he was visiting the slaves, and he turned around and saw one of the Egyptian soldiers beating on one of his fellow brethren. Now, Moses knew who he was. Even though he was raised up in the Egyptian household and raised up like an Egyptian, but he still knew who he was. He was Hebrew. He was a Hebrew boy. Okay? So he got upset when he had found the Egyptian soldier by himself. He killed him and buried him in the sand. And then one day he saw his brothers fighting amongst each other, and went to break him up, figuring that was his obligation to be able to break them up. Hey, why are you fighting? Then one of the brothers said, hey, who are you? You're not the prince of us. You're not the king of us. Are you going to kill me like you killed the Egyptian soldier, like you did on yesterday? Moses thought he had secretly done it, and come to find out, somebody saw him. And so Pharaoh found out, and he sought to kill Moses, and Moses went into desolation. He went into desertion. So he ran away and went into a place called Midian in the wilderness. Stayed there 40 years, which brings us up to chapter 3 that we're going to look at, and we're going to swiftly go through each, just 12 verses. First 12 verses we're going to swiftly go through, pick out our points, and when you have time, please go back and read the story. It's an encouraging story as well. So here we're looking at chapter 3, verse 1. Moses kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the backside of the desert and came to a mountain of God, even to Horeb. So here's the encounter. All along we've been talking about the preparation leading up to the encounter with God. So now we're dealing with the encounter with God. Verse 2. We're going to look at verse 2. We pull out of this verse 2, he witnessed a manifestation. And a manifestation is a clear appearance of a divine spirit, which is God. Okay? So verse 2, he witnessed a manifestation. It says, an angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush, and he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. Okay? This was puzzling. This was so puzzling to Moses to the point to where he opens up an investigation. Because verse 2 says, and Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burnt. I'm quite sure many of us would have been like Moses. We see fire in a bush, but we don't see the bush being consumed. I'm quite sure some of us would definitely go and try and investigate it. But then here comes communication begins between God and him. Because in verse 3, God opens, in verse 3, or verse 4, I'm sorry, verse 4, and when the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called him out of the midst of the bush, okay? Called him out of the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, here am I. God always began the conversation. He's going to call your name. You got to be listening. Got to be sensitive to the Spirit to hear when he's calling your name, because he can call you at any given time, okay? And you got to be able to answer. So here he communicates. And then he gives instructions in verse 5, because he tells Moses, hey, Moses, stop. Take your shoes off from your feet, for the place where you stand is holy ground. And then he gives an introduction of himself. He says, moreover, verse 6, he gives his introduction. I am the God of thy father, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And out of admiration, out of respect and reverence, the Bible says that Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon God. Not as in fearful, not as in scared, but as out of respect. I'm quite sure Moses, when he was with his mother and being nurtured, that she told him about this God. And when he finally met this God, he showed respect for him. Okay? He showed respect for him. So here, what God does next is he confirms, he gives confirmation of what Moses already know about the children of Israel. Because here in verse 7, and the Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people which are in Egypt, and I have heard their cry by reason of their taskmasters, for I know their sorrows. So Moses already knew this. God was letting him know that he knew too. He was just confirming what Moses already knew. Okay? And then what God does is he gives his intentions in verse 8. After he confirms what Moses already know, then he comes back and says, I am come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of the land unto a good land and large, flowing, a land flowing with milk and honey. He says, this is what I come to do. This is what I come to do. Then he reconfirms everything. He reconfirms what Moses already know again, which tags along with verse 7 and verse 9. Now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel is come unto me, and I have also seen the oppression wherewith the Egyptians oppressed them. Okay? So he's confirmed it. He's given his intentions. He said, this is what I'm going to do. Okay? God, when you encounter God, this is what he does. Is he shows up unusually, unexpectedly. He communicates with us. He gives us instructions. Okay? That's why we have to be sensitive. That's to the Spirit, to be able to know when God is calling us and what he's telling us. Okay? It can be through somebody. It can be through the word. It can be through dreams, through visions. whatever you name it, through your experiences, we have to be sensitive to know when God is speaking to us and through what. Okay? So here he comes back, he gives some directives in verse 10 to Moses. He said, Now come now therefore, Moses, I will send you unto Pharaoh, that thou mayest bring forth my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. Okay, say this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna send you there. But look at what Moses does. Moses began to question himself. This is just the first protest or objection to God. He actually has 5 throughout the whole chapter, but we're just dealing with this first one. And Moses says unto God, who am I, that I should go unto Pharaoh, and that I should bring forth the children of Israel out of Egypt? He feels this way. It's 15 minutes, but give me a couple more minutes. He feels this way because he was already rejected by his own people. Okay, whenever we are feeling rejection, it's because an incident that happened, or those who we have been with did not accept us. Okay, there are certain clubs that don't accept us. There are certain people that don't accept us. Maybe we don't look a certain way. Maybe we don't act a certain way. Or maybe we don't have that much money, or what have you. Whatever the case may be, we feel what Moses is feeling right now, because he tried to help his people. He tried to sort it out, but then it was thrown back into his face. He was rejected. Okay, he was rejected, and rejection ain't no joke. Okay, rejection is a hurting feeling, and here God tells him that he has to go deliver these same people, go deliver them out of Pharaoh's hand. These same people that rejected him. So who am I? Who am I to do this? And finally, in verse 15, God gives the qualification of why. Okay. He can call a roll. I allowed you to live in the Egyptian, to live first of all, and to be raised by the Pharaoh's daughter, to get the best education, to get the best training, to know how to lead, to know all about the schemes, the attributes, the characteristics, everything that the Egyptians know. This is what I've prepared you for. And he says in verse 12 finally, and he said, certainly I will be with thee, and this shall be a token unto thee that I have sent thee. When thou hast brought forth the people out of Egypt, ye shall serve God upon this mountain. Case closed. The first sentence that I read qualifies him. He says, certainly I will be with you. If God is with you, you are qualified. Period. Hands down. If God is with you, regardless of what you're doing, if he is with you, you are qualified. Moses, God has been with Moses from birth. And it shows throughout the whole process of him being prepared to have this encounter. Just know one thing, my brother, my sister, that when you have an encounter with God, he will always, and I mean always, empower and enable you to become successful in everything you do. I'm going to say it one more time and I'm done. God bless you. I appreciate you, and I thank you for your time. When we have an encounter with God, he will always empower and enable you to become successful in everything you do. God bless you. Till Wednesday at 6 o'clock. Remember, it's by God's grace that we're here.